Day. I am here today with my guest, Eunice Johnson, and we'll be talking on Home Buying 101. Happy Memorial Day. Today we are honoring our veterans. So I believe this information that you're about to glean from will help you in any stage of your home buying process, whether you're looking to buy a home or you already have a home. Because at the end of this video, towards the end, I'll be sharing some common tax benefits of owning a home. So I will formally introduce our guest, Eunice Johnson. She's a real estate professional who knows that her success as a realtor comes from putting her clients first. I am a prime example because I've worked with her and I have seen how she takes really good care of her clients. And she gave me a great, tremendous understanding about the housing market. So before I talk too much, I'll allow her to introduce herself, tell us what she does, and we go from there. So welcome, Eunice.
Thanks, Halima. Thank you. Thanks for having me and for inviting me. Hello, everybody. And yes, so my name is Eunice Johnson, as Halima mentioned, and I'm a real estate professional, and I'm based out here in Northern Virginia. I work together with my clients to help them reach their real estate goals, whether it's to buy or sell real estate here in Northern Virginia.
Awesome. Wow. That's a good one. Yeah. She has 2 beautiful kids and she's married. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I am going to share my screen, which she put together a very beautiful PowerPoint presentation, like a one slider. It gives you all the step-to-step process of buying a home. And this, I believe everyone is going to glean and learn something from this. So I will turn it over to her and I'll go ahead and share my screen as she goes on and talks. So I think it's up now, Eunice. You can take it from there.
Yes, thank you, Halima. All right, so as Halima mentioned, I'm going to go through pretty much the high level or basics of the process of buying a home. And as we go through, if you have any questions, just remember to type them in, and through the session, Halima will be able to read out any questions that any of the audience may have. All right, so where do you start when you're looking to buy a home? Where do you start? I like to tell my clients that as soon as you have your reason of why you want to be buying a home, as soon as you have that your why, right, then you need to contact a realtor. You contact a realtor so that you can have the initial conversations, the conversations surrounding what your goals are, what are you looking for, and your realtor also will have that opportunity to share with you the market and let you know how the market is, what's happening on the market. And then at that point also you establish a relationship of working together, and you establish that relationship in essence through a buyer's contract, where you get into contract with your realtor to say they are representing you in your process of looking for a home. The very important thing that you're doing around that process as well is your realtor will introduce you to a couple of lenders. What lenders are going to do for you is they're really looking to determine what your buying power is, right? And that is based off of a lender looking through your W-2, your pay stubs, your tax returns, and they will ask you a whole bunch of other questions, necessary questions, right, that are going to help them determine how much you actually qualify for. One of the things I like to talk to people about once they are qualified for a certain amount of money is that ultimately it is your decision as to, do you want to use the entire money that you qualified for, or do you only want to target a certain amount? For example, let's say you're qualified for 700,000. You can then determine, do I want to go maybe let's say 550. Of course, you're not going to be able to go over 700, but you can go a little bit less depending on, a whole bunch of other circumstances that you may use to determine where you are comfortable at. And these conversations with your lender, once you've had these conversations, you've established where you're comfortable, then you let me know, we work together and say, okay, we've established that our buying power, let's say, is 550, and we've had conversations as to what you're looking for. Are you looking for 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? Are you looking for a townhouse, single house? Are you looking for a condo? All these things. Then we establish a criteria for you, and we start looking for properties for you, meeting those criteria that we have set out. And it is during that time when we're finding a house that will do a lot of showings. We will look at properties together. And I like to say to people, that's the time that is also very much, a time where I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy the process, embrace the process, be open-minded, and look through inventory, whatever you interest you, whatever you like. If you say, okay, I've identified what I really like and this is what I want to go for, then we move on to make an offer. An offer is really, it's a review of the legal terms per se, right? So you write out an offer to say, okay, we've identified this house, would like to put an offer on it, and this is how much we are looking to put an offer on. So we define all these terms together. And as your agent, of course, I'm working with you to make sure that the terms are suitable for you, as well as are realistic even for the other agent who's going to be representing the seller. And at that point, as we're working through the offers, the first amount of money that's going to be really required from you will be money that's going to go into an escrow if the offer has been accepted. And that's where we talk about what we call an earnest money deposit. As we're writing that offer, we will be required to put through money that we call earnest money deposit, and that money will go towards all your closing costs eventually. And it's typically between 1% and 3%. The more you are able to put in, the more that your offer tends to be a little bit stronger than maybe other offers out there. Right. Any questions so far for me, Halima?
Yes, I do have questions. Let me stop sharing for a moment and read out the questions.
All right.
So, someone is asking, do you have to be a U.S. citizen to buy a house?
You do not have to be a U.S. citizen. Sometimes if you're buying, right, and you're going to need financing, financing has its own set of rules. So you need to determine what those rules are in terms of financing. If you say, I'm buying cash, then you can literally just buy cash. But if you need to spend money through the banks are going to ask you, do you have to be a citizen? And they would have to follow through that process. But a lot of times, everybody can buy property in the US.
Okay, that's an excellent answer. And I'm glad you shared that, because I've worked with a bank before. They will ask in their process for your residency status.
Yeah.
Whether you're a permanent resident, you're a citizen, or I don't know if that's a determinant factor, but depending on the bank, I think that's they will determine, as you say, the lender will determine if you qualify based on your status. But I think everybody should be able to buy a house.
Yes, everybody should be able to buy a house. Yeah.
Right. And the second question is, can you rent and then buy? What's your thoughts on renting and then buying?
Let me see if I understand. Are you talking about, okay, so let me answer it this way. You can rent and then eventually buy. They also do have programs in certain states where they have programs that are called rent to buy. So you get into that contract, and the money that you are paying towards your rental, right, contributes towards what you're going to eventually be buying, the house that you're renting. That's the one program. The other option where they don't have the programs like that, then what you're doing is you can rent, and as you are renting, you are working towards owning a home. And how does that look, or what does that mean for you? All it just means is that during the period that you are renting, you are doing a couple of things. You are saving towards your down payments and all the expenses that you're going to incur when you now finally decide to buy. Two, for some people, it might also be a period where you need to be working on your credit, because remember, when you go to a lender, one of the things that they're going to look at your credit worthiness, and that's going to also determine what your interest rate eventually is going to be. So during that time when you are renting, it's a good time to be working on all these things to make sure that when you finally decide that, okay, now I'm ready to take that leap of buying, then you know all these things are in order and you're good to go.
Awesome, awesome. I learned something. I hope that answers your question. Let us know in the comments, and please drop in your questions as she goes along the step-by-step. She's going to be pausing in between to take questions. So we're going back to the presentation. Share my screen.
All right. So we just talked about putting an offer on a house that you like. One tip here also is that, of course, it depends on the market. Sometimes you find that the first offer that you put in, it's going to be the offer that's going to be accepted. Sometimes it's not, right? And on instances that it's not, this is where you tap into your why are you buying a house, because it can get demoralizing. You can get frustrated. You can go through a whole bunch of emotions, but you need to ultimately be thinking, why am I doing this process? And that should help you carry you through on days that things don't work out the way maybe you had envisioned, right? And this is where it comes in handy when you're working with a realtor who's familiar with the market, who you are comfortable with, and who's very helpful in terms of helping you navigate the entire process, right? So, all right, going back to the presentation. So once we've put in an offer, that's not the end. There's usually that time of negotiation. We're going to negotiate the terms. As I said, as a buyer's agent, I will have terms that favor you, but ultimately when I present your offer, the other agent will have terms in mind that they also want them to favor that client. So then we get into a time of just negotiations. We make all those discussions, and once both parties have now come to an agreement, then we ratify a contract. Once a contract is ratified, all that means is that we're cooking with gas, like everything is now ready to go. It means the terms have been agreed upon. You would be required at that point to submit or deposit that earnest money deposit that I was talking about. And it is during that time that you are legally now under contract, right? And what that means for you is that you are not in a position where you can literally just say, well, I've had a change of mind and I don't want to buy this house anymore, right? If for whatever reason there was anything that bothered you with regards to the house, then we can use what we call contingencies to get out of the contract. But besides those contingencies, you are legally bound now to purchase that home. And it is during that time as well where now you make your formal application for your loan with the lender. This is where the lenders are now going to be collecting any remaining documentation from you, whether it's your recent pay stubs. They're going to, at that point, also order an appraisal. You're going to give them your tax documentation. We're going to also share with them a copy of the contract so that they see what the contract amount for the home is. And during that time as well, that's when now we're going to also be locking in the loan. Now, a lot of times I hear people asking, well, do I really need to do an appraisal? Do I really need to do an inspection of the home? Two things. An inspection of a home is really for you to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Is the house that you're getting into, does it have any faults? Are there any items that need to be fixed before you can actually move into the home? Is the home in a good and livable state, right? And then your appraisal is done by the bank. The bank does that because they are saying, okay, if we are going to give you this loan, let's say we're giving you a loan for 500,000, the bank is not going to give you a loan for a house that is worth or valued 400 and give you 500 for it. So it is a way that the bank needs to make sure that they are giving you a loan for something that is actually valued at the price that you're also coming in at. Of course, you have options. If you said, you know what, okay, my appraisal came back and I seen this house appraised for 450, but I still want to pay 500 for it. The lender then in that instance can only lend you up to 450. You would have to pay the balance out of your own pocket, right? Which is another story, but which comes back to, would you want to pay something that is valued at 450? Why would you want to pay 500 for something that is valued at 450? Unless you have, other information that maybe everybody else may not know of why you want to do it that way, why would you want to overpay, right? But once then the appraisal has been done, once the inspections have been done, those are some of the two contingencies that usually you could use to get out of a contract for whatever reason. For instance, if they said, hey, we did an inspection and we found out this property has a lot of foundation issues, and the seller says to you, well, I'm not willing to pay for that and we can't come to an agreement. One of the contingencies we can use to get out to safeguard you is that inspection period. So we can use that. The other option might be to use an appraisal. For instance, if the house has been offered at 500, the appraisal comes back and it's 450, then we can use that contingency as well to get out of the contract and say, well, if we can't come to an agreement where the seller says, okay, I'll reduce my price to 450 to what the bank values this home for, then we can use that contingency to pull out of the contract as well. So you are protected per se. We just need to make sure that all these protections are enforced. We are aware of them and we know what to use and when to use if we can't come to agreements. And then during that time as well, when you are working on your loan, it's also a good time to also be on the lookout for property insurance. You want to obtain that property insurance. And for some places, you might be in a place where it's classified to be a flood zone. So you may also be looking for insurance that's also going to cover things like flood zone. And once you've gotten that insurance, you just send that proof to your lender so that they can make those calculations into your final loan agreement. All right. And any other questions for me at this point?
This is so good. Let me stop sharing and read the question we have from the audience.
Okay.
Awesome. This is good information. And for those of you that are coming in late, the recording is going to stay on, so you can always go back and listen. Okay. So we are asked, what is credit score and how do we get our credit scores and how to build it in regards to buying a house? I believe the person is asking how credit scores can impact your home buying. And also there's a piece of it there that is, how do we get our credit scores and build our credit scores? In essence, helping us to get a home, the importance of the credit scores. So Yeah, that question, one of the questions we have.
All right, so I'll start off by saying I'm not a lender, right? So the best advice would really come from a lender, right? But what I do know about credit is this. You can check your credit, and it's best that you always monitor your credit, right? There is a lot of websites. There's Experian, there is TransUnion, and you can check your credit and monitor your credit from all these sources. But basically, in a nutshell, anytime you have to ask for credit, whoever you are asking credit from is going to check your worthiness from these companies, right? Now, how do you work on your own credit to just make sure that your credit is high enough, right? To make sure that you are able to qualify for some of these programs, right? You work towards your credit. You make sure that you balance out your money that's coming in and your debts, right? For example, something as simple as your credit card, you always want to make sure that you only utilize 30% of whatever credit amount that you've been given. Those are good practices that help build your credit. You make sure that all your bills are paid on time because you don't want anything negative being reported on your behalf. So those are the little things that you do to build your credit. I don't know if that answers the question. And one other thing I wanted to just drop with regards to credit is that a lot of times you meet people who say, well, my credit is only 600. I don't think I can even qualify. I was told that you have to have a credit of 800 to buy a house. No. Of course, a lender is going to help you and determine, okay, what programs do you qualify for with the credit that you have? And if you do not qualify for anything with the credit that you have, then a lender also will share with you and say, okay, let's work on increasing this credit over, say, maybe 6 months or a year. And once you hit this number, you'll be able to qualify for this program. So the best thing you can ever do for yourself is reach out so you have the correct information. Don't go by hearsay where someone says, well, my credit was 620 and I couldn't get a house. The best thing is reach out. Let's connect you with a lender. A lender will tell you, okay, for me to be able to actually process you a loan for a home, I need your credit to be 650. And for me to get you to 650 from a 620, these are some of the things that I would need you to do to be able to get to a 650, and then you'll be able to qualify for a house.
Oh, this is so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So our next question. Okay, this person is asking, what if you want to sell your home and buy a new one? What is the process and how should the person go about it?
It's very similar. I would say the first thing we're going to look at, of course, it's going to depend on you as an individual. What are you looking for? The reason why I say that is because for some people, they may say, you know what, I prefer to buy a new home. Once I've bought a new home, then I can sell my old home. Now, one thing to note with that is that you might then be in a situation where you might be carrying two mortgages at the same time. If you are financially able to do that, then you can go that route. Another option might be, you may say, you know, I would rather sell my house. Once I've sold this house, then I'm going to start looking for a new house. That way, the proceeds from the house that I'm selling, I'll be able to use money from that to help me buy a new house, right? Now, like I said, it will really depend from person to person and what your situation is. Also, in that process, when you are doing two transactions like that at the same time, depending on the market, we may also be in a position where we're able to put in an offer that is contingent upon your home selling. For instance, we say, okay, we've identified a house, we want to put an offer on the house. We can put an offer on the house on contingent that your previous house closes or sells, right? So we just have to figure out where you are, what you are comfortable or what you'll be able to do, and also consider the market. Right now, if you're in Northern Virginia, you know that the market has been hot and it's pretty hard to, put some of these contingencies in. So we might have to now say, okay, let's maybe instead sell first. As soon as we've got a contract, then we go and put a contract on the one that we are now selling. We just have to manage every situation differently.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. And we're going to take this question, then we go back to finalizing your slides. So our audience is asking, what are the process for buying the second home? I know you started touching on it, but is there anything else you want to add about the process of buying a second home? You're thinking this, our audience has a home currently and wants to buy a second home. What is the process?
The process is pretty much similar. It's just the same way. You are still going to need your realtor, you're going to talk to your lender, and this is where your lender now is going to do, well, it's still the same process, but now they're going to take into consideration that you currently have a mortgage. So basically, if you own a home and you're buying another one, you would perceive the second one as more of an investment home. So that's going to be a little bit different in terms of the financing aspect of it, but with regards to the process of buying a home, it's literally just the same.
All right, that's a good question. And thank you all for asking these questions.
Good questions.
Continue to drop in the questions and we'll get back to them soon. Let's go back to our slide as you wrap up the steps. This is good information, guys. I'm learning. Over to you, Eunice.
All right. So we were talking about, we've put in an offer, we've gone through the lender and did a formal application for lending. We've secured a property insurance for the property that we're going to be buying. We've done the inspections. We've done different kinds of inspections on the home to just make sure that the home is ready. And then as we are going through these inspections and we're going through the lending and things like that, at the same time, we are continuously negotiating to remove contingencies. So that in essence just means that as your realtor, it is my duty to make sure that we do not miss any deadlines. For example, take something like an inspection, a home inspection. If we've put in an offer to say we're going to perform a home inspection in 10 days, what that in essence means that on day 10, we need to remove that contingency. If we do not say, okay, we've met this contingency, and on day 12, you come back and say, well, I just learned that the foundation actually has a problem and I don't want to go through with the house, then we've missed the deadline. So in that instance, then we cannot use that contingency anymore because the deadline has been missed. So as all these things are going on, your realtor will also make sure that they are keeping in line and in check of all the deadlines to make sure that we're in compliance. And once all these contingencies have been removed, everything has passed, we are happy with the inspection, we are happy with appraisals, we're happy with all these things, we start preparing for what we call settlement. And during that time, that's when we start scheduling when we're going to close on the home. We schedule a time when we're going to go to the title company, and the title company, we're going to be signing off of the documentation for the home. And the title company really just is there to do the background checks to make sure that the house is clean, has a clean title. And they issue things like your title insurance. And they also will be helping with the transaction from a monetary perspective. You're going to give them the check for whatever you need to bring into the table, and they will disburse all these funds to the appropriate parties. And prior to settlement, one of the things that I always say to people is that's the time when now you need to do a couple of housekeeping things like secure your movers. You want to make sure that you have changed your address, make sure that your new bills and things of that sort are going to your new address. You want to make sure that utilities have been changed to your name. You don't want to move in and find that the house is dark because you forgot to change the electricity to your name. And after all this stuff, usually a couple of days before we actually go to closing, then we are going to get what we call a clear to close. This is something that's going to come from the lender. It's basically saying, at that point, it's basically saying the house is yours. We have done everything that needed to be done. All the documentation has been checked and verified, your financing, everything is in order. What is left for us to do now is just to walk through the property, go to settlement, sign the documentation, and you are a new homeowner. And the final walkthrough really is just a period that gives you time, at least 7 days before closing. It's just a period to go back into the home, make sure that everything is still in order. You want to make sure that, maybe the current seller didn't take the washer and dryer when they were supposed to be part of the house, right? So it's a final walkthrough where we just check to make sure everything is still there as agreed on the contract, on the offer. And then once we've done the walkthrough, it's settlement day. Settlement day, that's the day that we sign all the closing disclosures. The property is recorded in your name and you get your home keys and you are ready to move into your new home. And it is during that time that you also get to celebrate, because now you can start thinking about the tax benefits, which Halima will tell you more about.
Oh, wow. This is awesome. That's the time you throw in that housewarming party.
Yeah.
You're now you're a homeowner now. Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes, I am going to share my slide on some tax benefits of owning a home. Let me pull up the slide and we can walk through that. Wow, this is good information, guys. Keep dropping in your questions. She's gonna answer them at the end. Awesome. Great. So Eunice has walked us through the beginning to the end stage of home buying, but one of the most important benefits of owning a home is the tax benefits, and the IRS it has given some tax breaks that helps you with those expenses, because as she mentioned, there's so much cost involved getting a home. So having some of this benefit encourage people to buy homes. One of the greatest benefits is your mortgage interest. You get to deduct it on your taxes. And where do you find that mortgage interest amount you pay during the year? It will be on your 1098 mortgage interest statement, which the lender gives to the buyer at the end of every year. So as a tax professional, my clients that tells me that they have a house, the first thing I ask them, where is your home mortgage interest statement? Because you can be able to if you itemize, you can be able to deduct things like home mortgage, your interest you paid on the home over the year. Things like real estate taxes. I know Virginia, property taxes on your homes, you are also able to deduct it. Virginia is a state that levies property taxes. So you are able to deduct these real estate taxes. Also, private mortgage insurance, as Eunice also mentioned, having an insurance for whatever reason on the home. So anything you pay towards that insurance, you get to deduct it as part of your itemized deductions. And another very, very important thing is home office deduction. When you own a home and you are self-employed or you own your own business or your company, you are able to deduct a portion of the utilities in that home, or you use a standard method wherein you are able to take a standard amount based on the square footage of your home. You are able to deduct that. The next one is the medical necessary home improvements. These are situations wherein you have like a medical condition, you have to maybe change some things, like bring the cabinets down to help because of medical conditions, level or give a wider space for like a wheelchair to access. All these things, if it's medically necessary to improve your home, you are able to deduct these expenses. And home sale, capital gain exclusion. Someone asked the brilliant question about selling selling a home and buying a new home. There's something called capital gain. When you sell, you get profit on your home. The IRS is excluding that amount up to 750,000 for marriage couple, and up to 500K for married couples and 250 for single. So any profit you make on selling your first home, you get that is excluded from being taxed. So that's a great one when you sell and you buy a new home. Also things like energy efficient homes, like you install solar panels, solar water heaters, all these things, you can get a big credit for it. I actually worked with clients that got credit because they installed solar energy on their homes. You can, that's a credit, and I love credits because it's a one-on-one deduction. Mortgage credit certificates. You can get a credit certificate. These are mostly for first-time home buyers or low to moderate income. This is the state that gives you a certificate that you are able to deduct a credit from your mortgage interest. So this is just to name a few. I know our primary focus is in home buying 101, but we cannot talk about home buying if we don't bring in the tax benefits of owning a home. And this is not even touching investment homes. This is just like your day-to-day, your home, your family home. So there's so much benefits out there if you decide to buy a home. And my contact is at the bottom of this. If you need more information about the benefits, I'll be able to provide it for you. So yeah, please let me know if you have a question on the slide on tax benefits of buying a home. And let me read. They said it's good information, awesome presentation. There's a question. Can you buy a home if you work an hourly jobs?
So typically what lenders do is they will ask, they want to know that you have consistent income. So if you work hourly jobs, at the end of the day, you have your tax returns. So ultimately, they want to see from your tax return, how much are you able to bring in on a yearly basis, right? So they usually would go back maybe sometimes they may ask you 3 years to see your average, how much are you really making? And they're going to use that to determine how much you may qualify for. So short answer, I would say yes.
Okay, that's good, that's good. Thank you. People are commenting, brilliant, good information, very good information. Thank you all so much. I have another question that just came in. Can you buy a home if you're self-employed?
Yes, similar to the scenario of an hourly. When you have, when you are self-employed, you typically file taxes, right? So that's what they're going to use. For W-2 employees, they would use that W-2, they would give us the pay stubs and things like that. But if you're self-employed, your best would be to furnish your tax returns, and that's going to determine how much you're actually making.
Excellent. Yeah.
I think the key thing is, from a lender's perspective, they want to see that you are legally able to get some kind of income and how much that income is, because ultimately when they determine how much value or how much you qualify to buy a home for, they need to know, okay, if you are making, for example, you're making 60,000 a year, how much value or how much can you afford to buy a home for based off that? Okay, you're getting 60,000. Of course, they're going to look at other things as for example, any other debt that you currently have. But the key thing is they want to know that you are legally able to have an income, and that income is X, and then they use off that value for the rest of the other calculations.
Thank you so much. That's a great question, because I've helped self-employed people when they were trying to get a house, because I prepare their taxes and they need the schedules. The lender asks for the Schedule C, which shows their income and their expenses. So they use that to be able to qualify for loans. So yes, you can as a self-employed individual. Excellent question. All right, another question just came in. They said, are there special benefits for first-time home buyers?
There are programs in Virginia right now. We do have programs that help first-time home buyers. The critical thing is they also have maximum income that they use to determine if you qualify for a program, right? So they usually want to know what is your income and how many people are dependent on you. So if, for instance, you are, your income, let's say your income is 60,000 and you have 3 kids, of course, you may be able to qualify, but if you earn the same amount, say 60,000, and it's just you, chances are you may not. So you just have to find out, and this is information that your lender and your realtor will be able to share with you to say, okay, if you come and say, listen, I'm interested, I'm a first-time home buyer, what programs are there for me? We'll be able to direct you to sources where you can actually go find out this information. You can also take certain classes through the state as well. And when you take these classes, they help you. That's where eventually they're going to give you that certificate that shows that, oh, you took this class, and that will help towards your credit. So there are programs out there. You just have to find out, depending on your situation, whether you qualify for them or not.
Awesome. I like the way you answered that. And this question that they just asked, I like it. Is it mandatory that you put money down?
So the way to answer that, I'll say it depends on what program you're on. We have VA programs. Those are programs for our veterans. Most of those, you don't have to put any money down, right? Then we have programs that you are required to put money down. For example, you may say, okay, I qualify for an FHA loan, and an FHA loan, they will tell you how much you qualify, or how much you are supposed to put down, or how much you are required to put down. VHA usually it's about maybe 3.5%. And then you can also have a conventional where you can determine how much you want to put. Usually people would put in whether it's 20%. So I'm glad you asked that question, because sometimes we have people who say, well, I can't buy a home because I don't have 20% to put in. And that's just a myth. Not everybody has to put 20% in. It'll really just depend on what program you qualify for. For example, if you are a veteran, you may qualify for VA loan. You don't need to put any money down. And also remember, buying a home really it's a huge step, right? And part of the bank, as much as they want to lend you that money, they also want to know that you are responsible and have kept something to be able to buy a home. A lot of times we say, if you don't have any meat in the game, you might just lax and be like, oh, okay, right? So it's part of the things that the bank would do to say, okay, I need to see that there has been some kind of commitment and some level of responsibility on your part to make sure that if I as the bank, I'm giving you, say, 500,000, you've done your part by maybe just being able to save, whether it's 3 or 5% of the value of the home.
Awesome. That's excellent, because the down payment determines your monthly payments, right? The more, is it true the more down payment you put, the less your monthly payments gonna be on the home?
Technically, because what happens is when you buy a home, let's say we're buying a house and the house is 500,000. When the house is 500,000 and you are able to put in, let's say, everything that you've put in was about 50,000. What that means is that the bank is only going to loan you about, say, 450. So of course, interest that you're going to pay for a 450 versus a 500, it's going to be different. So of course, then it goes down to say, if you are able to put more, you are reducing the amount that you're going to take out as a loan. So in essence, that just means the less you take, at least then it means you won't be paying as much as if you had not put in more.
Thank you for that. Wow, everyone is saying this is a thank you for brilliant responses, Eunice, and
Yeah.
great programming. Everyone is
Thank
saying
you.
thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining in
Thank you for joining in.
and for the questions as well.
Thank you for all our beautiful people that have joined in. Thank you. Any more questions? We'll hang around for a few minutes if anyone have questions. And before we wrap this program up, great information. Sister Melba said great information. Thanks, Henrietta. Thank you. Thank you,
We
Sister
appreciate
Lola.
that.
Thank you, Kwame. Thank you, Sister Grace. Thank you all. It looks like our audience, oh, let me see. They said thank you, really great information. Thank you too for joining. And as I said, this is gonna stay on. So if you need to share this with anyone, feel free to go ahead and share it because the replay will be on Facebook. Thank you, Pastor Brian. Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you, Sister Eunice. Thank you so much. One thing I forgot to mention, let me share the screen real quick with her information on there. Hello, okay, with her information. So if you need to reach out to her, the information is at the bottom of the screen. Can you see it? It's her contact number. I just shared it. Okay, I think it's coming off now. So I just shared the slide again so that you can go in and take a screenshot or something. And if you have questions after this presentation, feel free to reach out to her. And anyway, you're around the area and you in Virginia area, she's licensed in Virginia. I highly recommend her. And this is her information at the bottom of the slide. Hope you can see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Halima. Thank you so much. And thanks to the audience as well. And like I said at the beginning, if you just have a desire or you want to find out, I always say you are better off finding out from people who know what they're doing versus asking or getting hearsay, right? If you are even thinking about it, it doesn't have to be something that you are planning or thinking of doing in the next 3 months. You could say, well, I'm thinking this is something I may want to do in a year or two. Reach out. That way you know what you're working towards and you can start working around it now so that by the time you are ready to
I think you're on now. It was froze. I think it froze a little bit. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I think you froze a little bit. So you were trying to conclude and give our viewers a last word.
Yes, I was saying um, it doesn't have to be something that you're buying a home doesn't have to be something that you're looking to do in the next 2, 3, 6 months. Even thinking about it in the next year or two. Right. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. One last question just came in. You think you'll be able to take it, Eunice?
Thank you. I didn't hear the last part.
No, I said a quick question just came in. Will
Oh,
you?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So someone is asking, should I buy now or wait until the prices come down? And I'm smiling because we spoke about this yesterday. So over to you.
To be honest with you, everybody's situation is different, right? That's why when I started, I said you need to determine why are you looking to buy, right? Because sometimes, okay, right now with the way the market is, some people will say to you, it's not the best time to buy. Some people will say to you, this is the perfect time to buy. And if we go back, we in real estate, we have a saying that the best time to buy property is 5 years ago, right? So everybody's situation is different. It really comes down to what are you looking to do? Where do you stand financially? Are you able and capable of doing it now? Is it something that needs to be done now, or is it something that can wait? What are your reasons, right? Once we've determined that, then we can work around, okay, are we going to do it now or later? Don't only look at the interest rates, because people will say, well, right now interest rates are going up, right? Yes, interest rates are going up. But on a large scale of things, you may find that even though interest rates are going up, you may find that the difference between the mortgage that you may have to pay now versus if you had bought maybe a year or so back might be a difference of $50. Is it worth the wait for $50? You determine. That's why I say for every person, everybody's situation is different. There is no one correct way of saying, okay, buy now or buy tomorrow.
I like that answer.
Yes.
Yes. It's not a one size fits all.
No.
Unique situation by situation.
Yeah.
Great. And a question for you. Is it better to buy land or build?
It depends on where you are. Um, right now in Loudoun County, right? For example, just an example, Loudoun County right now, if you're buying land, you may buy land empty for what? Maybe six, 700,000.
Mhm.
Now, is it worth to buy land and then go build on a 700,000 land, or is it you are better off buying a townhouse for 650? Everybody's situation is going to be different. For some people, they'll tell you, listen, I'm looking for my dream home. I've bought 3, 4 properties before. This home now is going to be my dream home, and I'm looking for something custom and very specific to me. Then they can go that route. It depends on what you're looking for. Understanding also that right now, with the way the market has been, we've seen that contractors are equally having a hard time sourcing materials. And of course, as long as demand is like that and there isn't enough supply, it means even in terms of building, those prices have gone significantly higher. Now, is it better for you to do that, or are you better off just buying a house that's already there? That's where every individual will determine.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eunice. Thank you. I'm happy to have you on. This has been an excellent session with you. I have learned so much, and I believe the viewers as well. They are saying great things about the information. So thank you so much. And any last words, final words before we go?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the audience and all the questions. That's great. That was very um, uh, active. group with lots of questions. And I like to say in the end that, you know, owning real estate, owning a home, it's very important. I think a lot of times, you know, sometimes we have perceptions that it's for the rich only or it's for certain people. There are lots of programs available out there to cater for everybody. All you have to do is you also have to be willing and be able to play your part and be responsible for your part, right? So, and what do I mean by that is that you also have to do your share. You know, you cannot say, well, I want to buy a house, but I don't want to bring nothing in. I just want to buy a house, right? So we have to take that. We have to understand that owning a home, Halima shared with you all those benefits as well, that to say, hey, if me owning a home allows me to reduce my tax somehow by taking advantage of some of these tax benefits, if I'm able to, why not? What am I waiting for? Right? So go out there and work hard and do what you need to do and reward yourself with some of these things.
Oh, I like that. Reward
Right?
with some of these things.
Yeah,
Excellent. They are routing for us to do it again. They said we
yeah, we
can
will.
do something again. So I believe this is a beginning of many, many other videos to come, collaborating, talking about different things. Eunice is diverse. She's also into real estate investment. And we didn't even touch on real estate investment. We just touched on buying
Exactly.
a house 101. So there's so much we can discuss. If you want to go into real estate investment, we can bring some information to you. Let us know in the comment section topics that you think we should bring to you, and then we can work together. But thank you all so much as we wrap this video. Thank you, and please share, like, comment, and till we meet again. Bye-bye. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.